And I'm very pleased to rise on the member from Ottawa-Orléans, her motion creating a monument commemorating Ontario's first 2 female MPPs. Well, I'm not going to give a whole history. I'll just say their names very quickly because we've heard a lot about Ray Lucock, and she has some family members here, and I want to welcome them. And I guess I could say her partner in crime almost. Agnes MacPhail, after everything I've heard, they were both elected in 1943 to the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, and then Agnes went on to the House of Commons. And really what caught the expression is what caught my eye, but I guess what caught my ear is when the member from Parkdale High Park said, and I quote from Agnes, quote, "The men did not want me in Parliament," and that really brought back a memory of my late mother, who in the 1950s was the only woman out of over 500 men to write the CA exams, the Chartered Accountant exams in Quebec. And all she would say about the experience, every now and then she would talk about it. My mother was very petite, no taller than me. And but the difference between us is she was kind of, I guess people called her like a little mouse. She was very quiet and she spoke in a loud whisper, and very good, obviously, in math to brave that world. But the men would purposely smoke around her, or she was pregnant, she was married. They knew she didn't want them to smoke around her, and they would continue to smoke around her. They were in lab rooms where there were high stools, and they would grab the low chairs and not offer it to her. Things like that. And she basically said the men didn't want me there because it was normally a club and it was fun for them to be there, and here's this woman coming in their midst. So I can really, I think we can all relate to these 2 women who came and they braved a man's world, and real trailblazers. And I think that the problem with maybe our generation now, maybe we have it a little cushy, maybe we don't recognize what went on before and we don't appreciate, and having a statue on the lawn will remind us to remember the women who fought for what we have here. Maybe it'll remind us what's going on in other countries where women don't have the opportunities that we have here. Maybe it'll remind us to represent some of the women's issues. Sometimes I think women feel, they're being told every now and then, well, women have come so far and it's almost equality, and do we really have to have women's studies, and do we have to have women's issues, and do we have to have Women's International Day, and this kind of stuff. We've all heard those terms before, and we have to really not feel uncomfortable, and we have to look them in the eye, and we have to say, yes, we do, until women have the means to have a fulfilling life and not feel guilty for it. Yes, there's 36% women here in the legislature, but we know that women who have young children are made to feel guilty. I know of somebody who went door knocking once in a campaign and was told, well, who's going to take care of your children? And she said to me, she was depressed. And she said to me, well, what would you have said? She knew I had the quick answers. And I said, I would have said, well, I certainly hope that you say that to every man who comes knocking at the door. So I think that it would be wonderful to have those statues, just because it would remind us not just of the 2 women, but what they braved, what we have here, and what more we have to achieve here in Ontario and the rest of the world. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.